All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got week number 11 here in the NFL. We have the Sunday slate video. In today's video, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games that is going on Sunday. We're going to break them down. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Now, before we dive into this Sunday slate, I did a little accounting, a little, look back here. How crazy is this? Can we pump in some crowd noise? 10 Sundays so far. We've been profitable in 8 of them. Now, don't, hold your horses, okay? Because some of these winning weeks have been like 0.2 unit profits and all that type of thing, right? Some of the losing weeks have been that, but also I think we had a really bad one back in week number 3 there. But overall, I just wanted to say, in terms of green and red, wowza. Now, we've had some struggles in Monday Night Football and where we kind of give it all back and all that type of thing. This is not a week-by-week breakdown totally on the NFL season. That we are still profitable. You can see it on the Guy Boston Sports site. In fact, we'll load it up right here. You guys can see it. But overall, right here, 10.7 units up on the season. But man, oh man, like looking at this week-by-week breakdown of our Sunday slate videos, we're crushing it. Who would have thought, right? Like I tell you guys, you can always fade me, but Sundays have been our day so far this year. Now, I hope we're not jinxing it because I'd like to carry some of that momentum into today's slate, guys. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about Chalkboard. They have 2 amazing offers here for new customers. For the early games, boom, you got a Josh Allen free pick. For the late games, you have a Jalen Hurts free pick. And you're also going to get your first deposit 100% matched. You put in 50, boom, Chalkboard's hooking it up with an extra 50. You put in 100. They're giving you another 100. You get doubling up your money there to start your bankroll over on Chalkboard. Check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Again, link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, or use code GUYBOSTON when signing up, and you get all of those deals. But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm praying that we did not jinx ourselves, kind of recapping the first 10 weeks of the season. Let's dive into game number 1 here. We have the Dolphins taking on the Commanders. This game is being played in Madrid, and both of these squads are in a tough spot, right? I mean, yeah, the Dolphins are coming off of a win against Buffalo. That's great, but even still, they really haven't been all that great. And Washington has looked terrible the last few weeks now. No Daniels in this game, no Terry McLaurin. I don't think this is the best game on the slate, and I haven't really loved these overseas games whatsoever, but I will lean towards the Dolphins, even with no Tyreek Hill. I mean, they still have Tua, Achane, Waddle. They just seem a little bit more healthy, right? So I'll lean in that direction. I don't mind the idea of an under. I'm not all that, certain where the points come here. I even just mentioned Achane, right? And they're going to run a ton of, I believe it is inside zone. In Washington, though their defense hasn't been all that great, they've actually been really good against the inside zone. So I'm going to lean under 47.5 in this one, but give me give me the Dolphins -2.5. Now, from a player prop perspective, I kind of already hinted at it. I don't mind Achane's under in rushing yards. We took that earlier in the year, and he did burn us. And, to some degree, he is their most talented player and is their whole offense. So, again, I'll just say this. These overseas games are a little weird. That is the direction I'm leaning in, though. Next game up, we're looking at the Falcons taking on the Panthers. Now, these two teams met a little while ago, right? And the Panthers smacked them down. Molly-whopped 30-0. I don't think many people saw that coming, and it certainly killed a bunch of people's survivor entries, right? Now the Falcons are here at home. They're 3.5-point favorites, obviously a key number. Total sitting at 42.5. Now, I talked about it on H2H, the other show that I do with Tassos here on the channel is, right? I like Bijan in this game from a touchdown perspective. I think that's got a really good chance of being a final play here. I even doubled down on it in H2H, so I like Bijan to score. This is a Panthers team that's allowing the 10th most rushing touchdowns to their opponents. My concern is that Bijan does get vultured and all that, but I still like Bijan to score a touchdown. And I already talked about that 30-0 game last time, right? You're telling me this Falcons team isn't going to come into this game with some revenge? I like them in this spot. That 3.5, you can even get a 3 out there if it makes you feel a little bit more confident for around -130 over on ProfitX. So maybe that's the direction we go in, but I'm big on the Falcons here. I think that they win this one by more than 4 points. So I'm kind of comfortable with that 3.5. But yeah, obviously 3 being a key number there could be something that we consider. In terms of a total, this Falcons offense has certainly had its ups and downs so far this season, right? And the Panthers defense has looked good. No better than when they looked really good against the Falcons in a 0 points against game. But I think the Falcons come to play. I'm really biting into this revenge narrative. It might make me look like an absolute idiot when the week is over, but give me the Falcons team total as well. So yes, Bijan to score a touchdown, Falcons minus the points, Falcons team total over. Might be square, but that's the pool we're swimming in right now. I think I just made that analogy up, and you know what? We're going to stick with it. I will say, and I meant to say this at the top of the video, but guys, we're looking to add some more player props to the card throughout the week. Obviously, we record this in a couple days in advance, so if you do want to see some of those additional player props and kind of the reasoning why, you'll see them with the final plays, but if you want that reasoning and explanation, head over to my Instagram at EvPicks, EVPICKZ. Right here. Again, EVPICKZ. Yes, I can spell. Spelling Bee Champ. Follow me there if you want some more breakdowns of some player props that we may add to the card. Bills taking on the Bucks. I think this will still be a good game, but there are a ton of injuries to talk about here. Kincaid looks like he's going to be out for Buffalo. And then on the Bucs side of things, same old in terms of just weekly injuries for them. No Bucky Irving. No Chris Godwin. Looks like Reddick is going to be out on the defensive side of things. Left guard, Bredesen is questionable. Actually, he's out. And then Haggard, the right guard, is questionable. So there are some serious injuries to consider here. I still maintain the idea, though, that this is going to be a good game. I think we could see some points. This Buffalo squad, they should have learned their lesson by now. Give the ball to James Cook. I know how good Josh Allen is. I love Josh Allen. I love the way he plays. He's obviously a likable guy, but give the ball to James Cook. First thing we'll talk about James Cook over in attempts. Right now his line's at 17.5. Check this out on the season, right? We'll go through their games really quickly. 13 attempts in that first game against Baltimore. Well, yes, they did win that game, but they were losing for the majority of it, and obviously they had to kind of put the ball in Josh Allen's hands. He went nuclear. Next game, he had 21 attempts. They beat the Giants. 19 attempts against Miami. They win. 22 attempts against New Orleans. They win. Then they play the Patriots. Less than 20 attempts. 15 attempts to him. They lose. Less than 20 attempts against Atlanta. They lose. Okay, then they go to Carolina. More than, I think he had 19 or 20 attempts in that game. They win. They beat Kansas City, had 27 attempts. Last week, only 13 attempts. They lose. It should be easy for them to decide, hey, let's give the ball to one of the best workhorse backs in the league. Give me James Cook in terms of rush attempts if they really do want to win this game, right? But I don't mind the over in this one either. This rushing defense on the Bucs side of things is pretty good, but I do think that the way the Bills play and get James Cook in space, and even when they do just kind of block for him in terms of power runs, I think that that can, at least facilitate offense moving down the field. And then on the flip side, like what has been the struggle of the Bucs this year, even with injuries or not, them running the ball. Well, this is a terrible Bills rushing defense. So if both of these teams are able to establish the run, I think passes will come and points will come. So I don't mind the over 47.5 for starters here. In terms of where I go from a side, 5.5 is a lot of points. I'll say that. But to me, it's like Buffalo's a little bit more healthy. They're coming off of a loss to Miami, which obviously you could say that Tampa Bay's coming off a loss to New England, but just a healthy team at home with, I would say, James Cook, if he is in the forefront, should be a decent game here for Buffalo. So give me James Cook, attempts, maybe a touchdown too if we get decent enough odds there. That's probably something you want to get in earlier than later because I think that that'll end up being juiced through the moon by game time. But give me the Bucs, James Cook in a couple different ways, as well as the over 47.5. I should note for that one, I'm not trying to argue someone that likes the Bucs. 5.5 points in Baker's back pocket, I really don't mind it, right? That could easily be a 3-point game or something like that. So I don't want to, talk anyone off the ledge if you were liking the idea of the Bucs or something like that. But let's move on here. We got the Jags taking on the Chargers. Jags getting a field goal at home. Total sitting at 43.5. I'm big on the Chargers this week. More so big on their defense, I should say. This Jaguars offense, man, oh man, what a hit in terms of the injury report, right? They have 7 starters listed as questionable, all of their offensive line, and 1 backup offensive lineman questionable. So that's 8, and Travis Hunter ruled out for the season, right? He's out for the year. So pretty much 9 guys that do play, 8 starters technically, potentially missing this game. Yikes. And this Chargers squad has scored a decent amount of points in the last couple weeks. This Jag squad has, I hope I said Jags for the injuries on the Jag side, okay? Hopefully we did not mess that one up. We'll see. Roll the tape. This Jaguars offense, man, oh man, what a hit in terms of the injury report, right? I do think that this is a spot in which we can fade the Jags offense and back the Chargers defense. Do I love the Chargers offense? I mean, I do think that Justin Herbert is good, but there has been some issues with him, and I'm not saying it's necessarily just his fault, right? Teams know that they're passing the ball. Like, it's one of the easiest game scripts to predict because all of their running backs are pretty much injured, right? But I think that they can do that on this Jags team regardless as if they know it's coming or not. You know what I mean? So I don't mind the idea of the Chargers either money line or -3, but I do think that the defense is going to be something that I consider here in this spot. But again, like, if the Chargers need to pass the ball, they're going up against a team that's allowing, I think, the 5th most passing yards per game and being passed on the 3rd most or 2nd most in the entire league. Might not be the worst spot. But again, just to kind of recap there. Chargers, any way you want to split it, and then the Jags team total under. You can get it right now at 22.5. And just to reiterate and confirm, the Jaguars are the team with the injury. I feel like I said that the Chargers were the team with the injury, but we'll see. And actually, I might add in a player prop look here. T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, to throw an interception. He's done it in 6 of 9 games so far this season, and he's thrown 7 through those 9 games. He had 2 against Cincinnati. This Chargers team, they're no stranger to being able to, force the other team to turn the ball over. And honestly, this Trevor Lawrence pass attack, he's trying to put the ball in bad places, and even his wide receivers are dropping balls. There could be like a weird interception here off a guy's hand or something like that. Next game up, we have Minnesota, 3-point favorites, that should say, taking on the Bears. I think we actually have to flash over to the new total graphic. Beautiful. There it is. Minnesota, 3-point favorites, total at 48.5. Let's start with the total here. We already saw this matchup earlier in the year, right? I think it was the opening night for both these squads, obviously. And it did end up going over, but there's 28 points scored in the 4th quarter. I would like to think that doesn't happen again. I'm going to take an under here, or at least look at the under here with a strong chance of being a final play. You have, J.J. McCarthy in now with the Vikings, and I'm not like totally sold. I'm not off of him, but I'm not totally sold on him overall. He stinks against man coverage. We should, at least in the sample size that we have of him, we should see a lot of man out of this Bears team. And again, like, think about that original game. Now, obviously, you can say, hey, first start jitters and all that. That's why he may not have looked all that great in that first start. But I'm willing to think that, the Bears did do something there to kind of hinder any sort of success from him. And also throw in the fact that this Bears run defense, right? Kind of surprisingly, honestly, we'll see a decent amount of, the man duo from this Vikings team, and they're 12th in the league in terms of yards per carry against that. So they might even be able to shut down the running game, which Aaron Jones is questionable in this spot. Now, from the other side of things, the Bears, honestly, on paper, look like, Caleb Williams and even the rushing attack may do okay against this Vikings squad. And it's like, well, then why are you leaning towards an under, Ev, right? But this Vikings defense is still good, right? They're top 10 in passing, top half in the league in terms of rushing yards per attempt. They're one of the best defenses in the league in the red zone. I don't think the Bears put up a huge number here. I will say, though, the run game, sure, maybe you can make the argument. They'll run a little outside zone. That could really work. It's by far and away Minnesota's worst rushing defense, but they'll also run some inside zone, and Minnesota's the #1 team in the league at stopping that. And then Caleb Williams, yes, he's going to see a lot of zone out of the Vikings. He plays better against zone. So I'm just trusting that Minnesota's defense is good enough to lead us to an under here, because it does kind of look like, at least, again, on paper, that Caleb Williams and the run attack may be okay. Okay being the key word there. Decent, maybe that's a better one. I'll lean 48.5 going under, and yeah, I kind of made a case for the Bears, right? Give me them plus the 3 points. Player props, I already talked about it. I think that we could see some success out of the ground game for the Bears, which also, if that happens, I would be a happy camper, because then you're looking at the clock running, right? But give me DeAndre Swift over. We cashed that last week as one of our bigger plays. You could still get him at 54.5. I really don't mind that spot from him. I mean, in the first game that they played against one another, and we really didn't have this offense, firing on all cylinders by any means for the Chicago Bears. I think he had, let's see, we have it right up in front of us. DeAndre Swift had 53 yards on 17 attempts. 2 more yards of a guy that's been a little bit more seasoned. He had a really good game last week. One more cutaway here, and yes, we'll get you back to the games and then no more breaks, all right? I promise. But I did want to plug the merch we have here on the channel. If you have not checked it out yet, head over to fademe.store, FADEME.store. Wow, I am spelling like a champ in this video. We have a ton of new products. This They Don't Boo Nobody sweatshirt coming soon, has a really, really cool back design. We also have the Football Couch Club. That hat is now live, and I think we're about to launch this one. We just got the samples in. The Beers and Bets structured hat as well. It's a snapback, nice and good structure, hence why it's a structured hat. But there's tons of stuff on the site, guys, like this Talkin' Basketball t-shirt that we just launched. I think it is really, really cool. We also have the new Captain jersey that just launched. I have one of these myself. Sample came out really well. Guys, head over to fademe.store, pick up some merch. I do not think you will regret it. I'll put that link down in the pinned comment as well. Now let's get back to the action, and I promise no more breaks. All right, Giants taking on the Packers. Giants are getting 7 points total at 43.5. Look, this Giants team is bad, and injuries haven't helped. I get that, right? I would rather be a Giants fan than a Jets fan, but that's another conversation for another day. They should be looking to lose here. Like, that's my mindset. They have a young core. They have what might be their quarterback. Draft picks might help, you know what I mean? But Green Bay's coming off of 2 straight losses, and their offense has looked pretty damn bad. Now, is it that shocking? I don't think so. I think there was almost writing on the wall for this offense to kind of look bad. But this, if there's any get back spot or get right spot, it's probably right now against this Giants team that may be mailing it in, right? Firing the coach. Defense hasn't looked all that phenomenal, so I lean Green Bay. I think 7 points is actually kind of low for all things considered here. I also don't mind the idea of their team total over. This Giants team, last 4 games, 24, 34, 38, and 33 points allowed to their opponents. There's enough talent on this Green Bay side of the ball to be able to deliver, right? You have at least a healthy Jordan Love. Dobbs is okay. Golden's questionable, so is Christian Watson. But, you know, Jacob should be able to do some damage against this squad, especially I think they're like 2nd worst in terms of yards per game on the ground as well as yards per carry. But either way, give me the Packers. Their team total over as well. This is a get right spot, I would think that. Now, in terms of the starter on the other side of things, we may see, just based on the injury, you know, Jackson Dart, I believe, was questionable. He's downgraded to doubtful. So we might see Jameis Winston. Does that make me like the old? Jameis Winston can spin the thing, you know what I mean? So if you want a full game total pick, I don't mind the over. Crazier things have happened, but it's definitely like, you know, the 4th thing we've mentioned here in this game. And also, like, one thing to note here, just some drama, like Russell Wilson, man. What happened to you? What happened to you? Jameis Winston, who I think he can spin the thing. Takes you over as the number 2 starter. Big yikes for Russ, man. They're not letting him cook. They're saying, hey, you go do the dishes. Comment dishes if you made it this far in the video. All right, Steelers taking on the Bengals. Now, this Steelers offense did look really good for at least a handful of weeks prior to that game against the Chargers, in which they scored just 10 points, right? Kind of a brutal game. Now, this team has already faced the Bengals, right? And the Bengals have already faced the Steelers. That's how things work. And it was a 33-31 primetime game victory for the Bengals that no one really saw coming. I do think that this comes back down to earth a little bit. I don't mind the under here, but I almost want to focus on a team total under for the Bengals. How could you? Joe Flacco's been leading this team to some good point totals and all that. I get it, but I think the Steelers defense, now I've said it for a few weeks now, and I have just been getting proven wrong. I think the Steelers defense is going to get better. I've been saying it for like 5 weeks. Now we're not really early in the year anymore, so hey, I might be wrong here. I got a little egg on my face, but I do think after seeing them once, now you have Tomlin at home off of a loss, not the underdog after a loss at home thing that everyone likes to talk about, but I think that they can game script for this squad. I mean, they're going to play a ton of man. Joe Flacco, not very good against the man, and, you know, they should pressure the quarterback. He's not very good against the quarterback he's not very good against pressure, and you can even check it out here on the Guy Boston Sports dashboard, which GuyBostonSports.com, if you want to check it out, head over to the members area. EV5. Sign up today for the All Sports dashboard. Get you a first month for $4.99, less than $5. You get the NBA and NFL dashboard. But Aaron, you can see this. They pretty much run man duo in terms of their rushing. Pittsburgh actually pretty damn good against the rush there. Now on the season, yeah, they're getting a little bit better, forcing some turnovers, which I think is huge because Cincinnati does turn the ball over a decent amount. So I don't think this is a bad spot to take the Steelers, but I kind of want to trust their defense more than anything. I will say one bigger thing too to note, the pressure. So maybe this is just leading us to a Steelers -5.5. They're not expected to pressure the quarterback, right? 32nd in blitz, 26th in pressure. You do not want Aaron Rodgers spinning that thing. Why do I keep saying that term? Against pressure. 32%, less than 32 technically, completion percentage against that. But hey, doesn't look like they're going to apply too much pressure. He should be in a decent enough spot. So give me the Steelers and a Bengals team total under. Right now, I believe best I saw was 23.5. Probably in the mid -130, so a little bit of juice. But I do think that could be a key enough number, right? Getting to, the 23.5 versus 22.5. Tennessee taking on Houston. Now, it's the games like these that I sit here and I'm like, this is the tough part of the job. We say we're going to go through every game, so we got to go through every game. Tennessee, 7-point dogs, total at 39.5. This is a messy game, and for all intents and purposes, the Houston Texans, in my mind, are the better team, right? I talked to you guys last week. We called it about, hey, Davis Mills may be okay, and they put up a big number against Jacksonville. This Texans team isn't very good, but 7 just seems, and it smells like it's a little bit too high of a number. But you got to back Houston here, right? They're the better defense, maybe the best defense in the league. Give me the Texans minus the 7. In terms of a total, 39.5 seems awfully low. Even though I like Houston's defense, this would probably be a Tennessee team total under or a Houston team total over. This Tennessee team, let's not forget that they were supposed to be a very good defense coming into the year. I think they're allowing, I might have this wrong, but I think it's like the 3rd most points per game to their opponents. Guess what, guys? That ain't all that great. So Houston and their team total over, I guess. I would be lying if I said I thought this had a decent chance of making its way into being a final play and me putting my own bread on it. Arizona taking on San Fran. Let's start with the total here because I could see some points coming. I don't mind the idea of an over. This Arizona offense has not been like terrific, but they've been consistently giving you 20 plus. All but one game so far this year, they've scored 20 plus points. Coincidentally, the one that they didn't was against this very San Fran team. But that defense is a little bit different, especially no Fred Warner anymore and everything like that. But in that game, you had Kyler Murray and Mac Jones. I think both of these teams have better quarterbacks now. And yes, I'm saying that, and yes, I mean it. Jacoby Brissett greater than Kyler Murray. At least, I'm not talking talent, but at least for what Arizona's trying to do and what they're trying to build here, right? For especially someone like Marvin Harrison, a young receiver, Jacoby Brissett is 10x the quarterback for that guy to grow than Kyler Murray is for, putting all your eggs in Marvin Harrison's basket. And I mean that, like, Marvin Harrison would have been better having Jacoby Brissett from the jump than I would say Kyler. Just saying it. And I can see why someone would disagree with that. Kyler probably has 10x the talent of Jacoby Brissett at Call of Duty. But anyways, I do like the idea of the over here. I think we have 2 better quarterbacks, and neither defense is all that impressive to me. And I don't think it'd be hard to see like a 27-23 type of a ball game here. I like the idea of Arizona with some points in their back pocket, but I almost want to say, Arizona money line, if anything. A player prop that we're liking here would be Jacoby Brissett. You can get him over 20.5 completions. Let's think about it, right? This running game is really not all that tremendous on the Cardinals side of things, and not necessarily to their own fault, but a lot of injuries and everything like that has impacted it. And Jacoby Brissett, like, we were spot on about his completions against the Cowboys, right? And he looked pretty damn good. Now, I will admit that is the Cowboys. This 49ers seems a little bit different, but Jacoby Brissett in his last 4 games, which, that would be the ones that we're kind of focusing on here in terms of him throwing the ball, 27, 25, 21, and 22 completions. We haven't seen him not hit this line yet. In San Francisco, I sit here and I'm like, I don't think that they're going to be all that tremendous against. I mean, we've seen 30, 24, 24 in their last 3 games. They're allowing, or at least they're ranked 24th in terms of completion percentage against and bottom 10 in the league in terms of pass attempts against. Give me Jacoby over in completions. But again, Arizona in the over is where I'd go from a side and total perspective. All right, we got the Rams and the Seahawks. I mean, I know we're getting into the later slated games here, but we still have the 3 best games of the week to talk about, and that excites the hell out of me. This may be my number 1. I'm not kidding. Obviously, well, we'll get to that. I don't need to spoil what the other 2 are, but Seattle and the Rams here. The reason I like this game, one, I have personal interest from a futures play that we have, right? We shared it on the channel preseason. Seattle to win the division. at plus what, 525 I think we got it at. They're like plus 130 right now. Absolutely crazy that we took that flyer, and I just kind of trusted the defense and that type of thing, and boom, Sam Darnold's like, I got you, Ev. At least giving me some value, right? Now, the reason this is important to talk about here is because the Rams are in said division, right? NFC West, and both of these teams are 7-2 right now. Now, Seattle's 2-1 in the division, and the Rams are 1-1, so this is an important divisional game. I'm just juiced for this game. I think it's going to be really, really good. I love the fact that Seattle has kind of not come out of nowhere, but realistically came out of nowhere, right? Like, there's a reason why they're plus 500 and beyond odds to win that division. I've also been very, very high on the Rams this year, right? I've said it on H2H on this show that this is an underrated team, and specifically an underrated defense I would toss in. And would you look at that? Maybe I'm right about something every now and then, because they're the number 2 team in terms of points allowed per game. So where do we go in this one? I'm hyping it up a crazy amount. I think I'm riding with Seattle. I think we're looking at them. I think they're plus, 161 on the money line right now. That might be something that we look at. It might be a little crazy because they do play a lot of zone. I sounded the cycle alert alarm because this is the type of game that I get that the Rams at home with Matthew Stafford could just be like, hey, we're going to dot you up. But this is a very good defense. But let's break it down a little bit further, right? Spend a little extra time on this one. Apologies if you're getting bored, but you know what? I'm just excited about it. Can't contain myself. Matthew Stafford against zone, which we should see may be very, very, very good. But check it out. This Seahawks team should pressure him, right? 53.6% when it comes to the pressure. Oh, how does the LA Rams run the ball? They run the man duo scheme. Seattle number 1 in the league in terms of stopping that, right? And then look at this. In terms of what, Sam Darnold might see, a lot of zone compared to man. He lights up zone, and yards per attempt at 10.2. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I do like the idea of Seattle. But I'll give credit to both of these defenses. I'll say that. I think that there's a slight lean to the under, and actually, this is probably a big reason why. I talked about the running attack on the Rams side of things. We pretty much have the same thing for Seattle, right? Outside zone, LA top 5 team against it, and even looking here. Look at these defenses. 5th and 2nd in points allowed per game, right? Rushing, 3rd and 9th. Red zone, 2nd and 7th. Turnover, both top 10 teams. This is going to be absolutely awesome, guys. So yes, I do lean Seattle. For the value, I think that this is a toss-up game, plus 160 on one side, crazy. And I don't mind the idea of the under. This should feel like a playoff game to both these teams, so let's play some defense here. Woo! You pumped up? I'm pumped up for this game. And like I said, 2 more amazing games to talk about. I guess the NFL saved the best for last in week number 11. Although it wouldn't be last. Best for end of Ev's Guy Boston Sports video for week number 11. That's probably what they were thinking. Ooh, and right after that, we jump right to Cleveland. Cleveland 7.5 point underdogs here at home against the Ravens, total at 39.5. This is not one of the 3 best games on the board that I was kind of hinting at, right? You guys probably at this point know exactly what we're talking about with 2 games left. Cleveland, I get why this number is here, and I think that they do have the ability to play some good defense, but I feel like the world is now coming around to, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson, this Ravens team, were Super Bowl favorites for a reason. They're really good, and 7.5 points does not seem like it's all that much to lay against a team that may put up 0 points. I know the Ravens defense hasn't looked all that great, but they are getting healthier, and they are obviously a team that does pride themselves on defense, so I think it is worth noting in a sense, you know what I mean? But ultimately, yeah, this is going to be a spot in which I lean Ravens. My only problem is that total at 39. Doesn't that kind of hint at not much, go off ability or runaway type game? So yeah, I guess I lean Ravens in the over, but I don't think that we focus too much on this one this week. It's kind of a weird one. It could easily be a trap game. Broncos taking on the Chiefs. Now, this is one of the 3 that I'm very, very much looking forward to. This is probably number 3 out of the 3. So, yeah, Sunday Night Football, spoiler alert, is either 1 or 2 in terms of what I'm looking forward to here. But let's talk about this one. And the biggest thing that this comes down to, at least for me, would be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes coming off of a bye. That just screams Chiefs spot. Now, they are in Denver. I think that is definitely something worth noting, and Denver's defense is no joke. Now, we'll want to keep an eye on Surtain. They do have a few different injuries. I mean, Dobbins is questionable. Cortland Sutton, I believe, or actually, I think Cortland Sutton is good to go, but again, Surtain, and then Alex Singleton's already ruled out. He's super important for that squad, but I still trust their defense. I think that they can give Mahomes some problems. I just don't know if it's problematic enough to get me to the Broncos side of things. You can grab a Chiefs flat 3 right now too. that's probably what I would do, but nothing really like screams Chiefs other than that bye week. Realistically, Mahomes stinks first man this year. Denver, #1 team in terms of man coverage. He struggles against pressure in the blitz. Guess what? Denver plays a bunch of, or sends a bunch of blitz and pressures the quarterback plenty. So if someone's on the Broncos, and we talked about this on H2H because, spoiler alert, Tassos liked the Broncos, I could see the rationale there, right? It's literally the bye week that is making me lean towards the Chiefs, and it's literally that like is weighing out. I'm just thinking of this as a simpleton, right? I'm weighing that so damn heavily in this dumb brain, but it's got a chance of being a final play. From a total perspective, I do think an under is possible here. If I'm giving the Broncos credit for the man, for the pressure, and for the defense as a whole, then yeah, I do think that they'll give Mahomes and the offense trouble, but I just think that this is going to be one of those games where you see it coming, right? The ball's bouncing one way, it ends up in a Chiefs player's hands. There's a crappy penalty, or I shouldn't say crappy, but a crappy penalty called, and it goes in favor of the Chiefs. It strikes me as that type of game. Now again, Mile High, maybe it's a different animal. You know what I mean? You're coming off a bye week playing in Denver. It's probably the last stadium you want to play in off of a bye week, but it's still where I'm going to lean Chiefs and the under in this one. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Sunday Night Football is said to be a banger, right? By the way, Tassos does the Sunday Night Football breakdown video. He has a video on the channel. He has an awesome game to talk about here. Tassos, I'm a little bit jealous about that, but we can talk about it not as in depth, but kind of quickly here. Eagles 2.5-point favorites, total at 46.5. This is, I'll come right out and say it, a game in which if you're arguing against someone and then you call them a dummy for thinking that way, you know, you're having a beer with a buddy, someone across the bar says, oh, that's who you're taking? No, I'm taking the other side. You're like, no, that's the wrong side. I don't think that there's a wrong side in this game. You could make an argument either way. My argument to be made is for the Lions here. If this is a 50-50 game, you're getting the Lions at plus 130, and realistically, you have to go back to week 4 to find a really good offense that this Eagles team played, and that was Tampa Bay. Now, they beat Tampa Bay, okay? But I would suggest that this Lions team is even better than Tampa Bay, obviously, right? So I think that this is like a giant that they haven't necessarily seen yet, and I don't want to put too much weight into the A.J. Brown and all this complaining, and honestly, close your ears, kid, but honestly, like the bullshit that he's doing, this is still a Super Bowl contending team. And I like AJ Brown, or liked, I should say. I still do like him, but he's just waning on me. I don't even know if that's the right word. But like this, you are in a Super Bowl position right now, and you're complaining about not getting the ball. I don't know if you guys saw, I mean, the whole world saw, but he was online playing Madden with someone, and he said, hey, if you have me in fantasy this week, drop me, or I'm sorry, or something along those lines. Like, that is just a prima donna move. This guy used to drive, a Toyota Camry or something like that to his games. Now he's just got a Rolls-Royce mentality, which is unfortunate because he is really good. That's neither here nor there. I just think that there's distractions on that side, and the offense didn't look all that good against Green Bay. And this is a legit defense on the side of things of the Lions. So I like the Lions for the plus money here. I think that Jared Goff against man coverage should be very, very good. And hopefully this offensive line holds up, because the Eagles do apply some pressure, and Phillips looked pretty good in the opener, right? But overall, this should be a spot in which we see some, like I said, some success offensively. And one thing to note here over in the Guy Boston dashboard, we know that this Detroit team's going to want to run the ball, right? Look at that. Outside zone is their most frequent run, and would you look at that, Philadelphia second worst at stopping that in terms of yards per carry. So to me, it's all Lions all the way. Yes, again, I stick by the line of, if someone's arguing for the Eagles, there's plentiful reasons to back this Eagles squad, because they're rolling in. Honestly, I think that this is a very, very good team. Nothing's changed. I mean, maybe the run game hasn't looked as phenomenal as it has, but this is still a Super Bowl contending team. So we might have an NFC preview here in terms of the championship. But guys, that is going to wrap it up. I actually didn't talk about the total. I should do that. I think this is too little points. This is too few points for two teams of this caliber. I lean towards the over. And like I mentioned before too, any player props, I definitely want to get something in some additional action in terms of player props, or maybe a parlay in this game. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, EVPICKZ, EvPicks with a Z. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead and comment 34 down below. Again, truly appreciate it. We're having a great Sunday day throughout the entire season. I'll show it again, and I might be jinxing the crap out of it, but 8-2 in terms of winning and losing weeks. Week 11, it's got a question mark there. We'll see how that turns out, but really do appreciate all the support. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.